Among the many disciplines of model aircraft flying, slope soaring has got to be the coolest. There's no better thrill than piloting your glider across the edge of a steep hill with trillions of upward rushing air molecules holding your model aloft as gravity tries to pull it back down. There's a special but crazy breed of slope flyers around the world who love soaring but prefer the lines and shapes of warbirds and modern jet fighters over the typically skinny and spanny slope planes most guys fly. This hardcore group of modelers enjoy designing and scratch building slope gliders that replicate as closely as possible every detail of their full-scale counterparts. These specialized slope machines are called Power Slope Scale Models, or PSS gliders for short. By definition, these gliders must be based on real powered aircraft that have either flown or have at least reached the concept stage. There are very few airplane designs that can't be made into slope soarers, and one of the fun challenges for the PSS enthusiast is to take a most unglider-like design and make it fly without the aid of propellers or jet engines. While the ultimate PSS plane would match the dimensions of its full-scale counterpart exactly, most models have to have the flying surfaces adjusted suitably to make the model version controllable as a glider. Usually the vertical tail is enlarged slightly, and the tail moment adjusted for better stability. The model's wings might be stretched for more aspect ratio, and the area increased to lower wing loading. The often fat airfoils of the full-size aircraft are usually replaced with a thinner modern sailplane section for a better speed range. A skilled designer can make these small changes without disrupting the lines and proportions of the original design. Because PSS models are designed for slope soaring in higher wing conditions and plane-to-plane contact is not unusual, they are typically made from fiberglass, foam, hardwoods, and other strong and durable composite materials. In the past few years, ultra-tough EPP foam has become a popular building material because it's inexpensive and easy to carve and cut into any complex shape. Models built from EPP foam can survive incredible impacts that would destroy any conventional model. While foam planes have in the past had a reputation of being ugly and underperforming, new building and finishing techniques have recently been developed that create models that rival the performance and scale finish of the best fiberglass composite designs. The popularity of PSS models has grown worldwide, but the largest groups of hardcore PSSers are located in the slope-rich areas of Great Britain and the western United States. Southern California's Inland Slope Rebels PSS Club hosts one of the world's premier slope events every June at Cajon Pass, an epic flying site just east of Los Angeles in the San Bernardino Mountains. An informal event, the PSS Festival gives pilots the chance to show off their latest creations and to fly in the usually strong afternoon lift. The only competition is on the ground, where the models are divided into different classes and judged on creativity, authenticity, and craftsmanship. However, each entry must actually fly during the event to qualify for static judging. Classes include Best Jet, Civilian, Prop, and Best EPP foam-built glider. Master builders and past class winners compete for the Expert Trophy. Each year, the quality and workmanship of the models improves, and it gets harder and harder to come up with an original design with enough scale detail to impress the judges. The level of building and flying skills certainly reached a new high at the 2004 PSS Fest. The wind didn't always cooperate, but it sure didn't stop anyone from flying and having a great time. Let's have a look at some of the contest planes and some of the flying action. The PSS Fest is really a 3-day event, with flying on Friday, the scale judging on Saturday, and more fun flying on Sunday. This is what Friday looked like. Great wind, but the cloud base was 500 feet below the peak, and visibility was 0 to none. PSS Masters Brian Laird and Jack Cooper decided to play half-pipe hide-and-seek anyway with their foamy P-40s, as the wind-chilled crowd hoped for wind and sun on Saturday. The next day's conditions were perfect, and a large crowd gathered slopeside, and any open space was quickly covered by a stunning collection of high-quality models. The wind usually kicks up by 2 o'clock, which gives the spectators a good chance to check out this year's new planes and to talk shop with all the master builders in attendance.
Hi, I'm Kevin. This is a L39 Albatross I built. You can get the kits now from K&A Models. This is a fairly old one that I got my hands on. I'm the third owner before it was even built. I acquired this about a year ago, and I had some ideas about adding some flaps to a PSS style plane. And when I saw the fuse in a friend's garage, I liked it's a real fat fuse, and I thought I could fit my servos in there well to add my crow and stuff. It turned out to be a lot of work. I made all internal linkages, so there's nothing exposed. And running your linkages behind my hinge line here turned out to be a lot more work than I'd ever want to do again. I installed my 4 servos. They're HS311s. They're kind of towards the rear. I had to put them back here due to if they're in front, I couldn't get them low enough. I still had to put bins in my torque rods. I don't like doing that, but that was the lowest place I can get them in my fuselage. So I run 5 servos in this 2-channel plane. I used an 8-channel PCM JR receiver. I did a nifty little on and off switch here, if you could see in there, my on and off. It's linked to my aerial antenna here. I actually didn't have to add too much nose weight with all my radio gear back here due to the nose is so long. So there's about 3 or 4 ounces I had to add in the nose, but that's not a whole lot. The paints I used on this was Flow Quill and Model Masters. I used a Model Masters semi-gloss clear. It actually took 3 cans even to get this little bit of luster that's on it. It's an all-up weight of 60 ounces. It has just under 2 square feet of wing area, so it's a pretty high wing loading. It's a little over a 30 ounce per square foot wing loading. So it's going to be a handful to fly. I hand carved my tip tanks out of balsa. I glassed over them with 3/4 ounce glass. That's about the 3rd set I set on there before I finally decided those ones looked correct. This decals, some of them I drew up myself and had cut on a vinyl cutter, and the other ones are major decals that are readily available at most hobby stores. Other than that, it's hoping it does place well tomorrow, and I'm going to hopefully maiden it before the judging.
All right, my name is Rick Schwimmer. I'm from La Quinta, California, and this is a Douglas A4 Skyhawk. The colors and paint scheme are modeled after the VMA Squadron 311 currently out of Yuma, Arizona. And this is based on the paint scheme of a friend of mine who was in the Marine Corps in the late 80s. And that's what I designed the paint scheme on. Currently it weighs 44 ounces. It's got 17 ounce wing loading, and it's a 40-inch wingspan and about 30-inch in length. Basically the construction technique is for the fuselage is I put 4 layers of EPP foam together, took a template of the top view of the aircraft, sliced it through the bandsaw, and then I took a side view of the aircraft, sliced it through the bandsaw, and then basically from there was just razor knives and what have you, and shaped the foam to similar outline, and then used 60 grit sandpaper to sand the final finish. From there, covering the foam is lightweight spackle from DuPont. Put it on real thick, sand most of it off, and that gets rid of most of the bubbles of the EPP foam. And then spray that with spray adhesive. I used 3M77 spray adhesive. Layered that on top with strapping tape, which is fiberglass reinforced tape. Once the tape is on, then what I did was use the iron to iron it on and get a better adhesion, and also smooths out any wrinkles. The covering on top of that is white Solartex from Balsa USA, and then from there the decals are from Major Decals, but the paint is a latex oil-based paint, And a friend of mine is a paint contractor, and he's able to give me tips and techniques on how to lay latex on here, and that's how we painted it. Here's my F4U Corsair, based on the Corsair that Pappy Boynton flew in World War II in the Southern Pacific. It's made out of EPP foam. Again, it's a layered foam, cut and shaped on a feather cut rotocut. That's how we get the round fuselage and the shaped fuselage in the back. The wings are EPP with a spruce spar. Basically, we cut the spar to shape, and then we attach the foam to the spar. Again, with the EPP techniques, we spackle it with DuPont, layer it with tape, and then cover it with Solartex. This was covered with, again, with white Solartex, just because that's what I had. And then I used Krylon spray paints for the colors. And then the silver lines was a Sharpie metal Sharpie pin, gray in color, and that's what gave us the lines. Currently it weighs 92 ounces. It's quite heavy for its size. It's a 62-inch wingspan. Like I said, 92 ounces, and the wing loading on it is around 19 to 20 ounces per square foot. It flies really good with the flat vertical nose. It's not a speed demon, but it does fly realistic like the real one.
This is a Rendelio inspired TA-152, 96-inch wingspan. Typical EPP foam setup, strapping tape, authentic German colors. I just like the 109 shading and the usual stuff to make it look decent. It's about 14 pounds. Haven't flown it yet. It's going to fly today. See what happens.
Hello, my name is Richard Spencer, and I built this Hellcat out of EPP foam about 1.5 years ago. It's pretty straightforward. It's just got foam wings, foam fuselage. I drew all of the plans myself. It's completely scratch built, and I wanted to go a little bit further than most people went, so I decided to go with all of the static stuff. And I carved the hand carved the prop. Then I tried to get some scale landing gear on it, and then I figured, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well put bombs and rockets on it. I found the little latex pilot and got him painted pretty realistically. It has a scale instrument panel, and it has some detail on the sides of the cockpit. Painted with Tamiya with a lacquer top coat. The machine guns are just 1/8-inch aluminum tubing. There's nothing else really that's in any way unusual. It's pretty much a standard foamy. I just took it to the next level. Now it weighs in at 8 pounds. It added an awful lot of weight. I tried to build it scale. I didn't compromise on any of the dimensions. And because I don't have a 2,000 horsepower radial engine in the front, it took almost 2 pounds of lead to balance it, which accounts for an awful lot of the weight. Plus all of the attachments for the static gear added a lot of extra weight. Since I went with a scale tail, that tail is almost 25 inches long, which adds an awful lot of weight to the back. But even at 8 pounds, it only has a 27-ounce wing loading. It's a 60-inch span. The fuselage is 12 inches high, and it's 7 inches wide. This is solid lead. I did it this way just so I could have the weight out as far forward as possible. And you just screw the propeller off, screw the spinner on, and it's ready to fly. Take off the other static gear, and you're in the air.
Hi, my name's Mitch Schwartzberg, and I'm a member of ISR. I've been with them about 4 years. I've been coming up to the festival here since the beginning. This is my first scratch-built entry for the festival. I've built a lot of kits. This one is, like I said, scratch built. It's a Grumman AF3S Guardian. It's a sub hunter killer. Features a 60-inch wingspan, foam core wings, fiberglass fuse. It has a fully detailed cockpit, operational torpedo doors, and hopefully we're going to get a torpedo to fly out of it during flight. It weighs in at a nice light 119 ounces, and just really happy with the way it turned out. Carl Moss was my mentor on this. He gave me a lot of insight and a lot of help with building it and detailing it. Learned a lot through the process of it. Very excited about it. And today's going to be its maiden flight, so we'll see what happens a little later today.
By midday, the wind was still cycling up and down, and most of the heavy planes were grounded. The wind got a bit better towards 3 o'clock. Though the lift was still very inconsistent, most pilots still got in some decent flights.
I need the radar gun. I'm gonna go for fastest path.
This is what we do when there's no wind.
Did that touch?
Yeah.
Beautiful bean.
There you go.
Wow. Not getting lift.
Oh, that looks good.
Look how much up elevator, guys. Can you get some weight up? Get to the weight?
Tell you what, Gene, it flies like it's on rails. This is beautiful. That's fantastic.
Hey, Ren, what's that thing weighing right now?
About 14 pounds.
Gee, my Gulfstream's only 6. What you throw?
The wing loading's around 27.
Man, I think it's like a barge.
Hi, my name is Carl Moss. This is my father, Carl Moss Sr. This is our B-29 PSS project. This started in 2001 when we started to build a super project for Soar, Utah, and also for our home PSS event, the PSS Festival. And so I drew up a B-29, and it was 100 inches. And then come to find out that I couldn't fit it in the car. So I immediately scaled it down to about 76 inches long and about 107-inch span. You can see how it turned out here. We ended up making the fuselage out of foam blocks. We sheeted it in balsa wood. The nose is fiberglass carved out of blue foam and fiberglass. And the wing is foam core, balsa sheeted, and obici sheeted as well. It has fully functioning flaps, ailerons, elevator, rudder, bomb drop, landing skids, and the works. The most unique feature about this plane is that it has completely reconfigurable bomb bay construction so that an entire box structure can be disassembled and slid out so that you can mount the X1 and all of its release mechanism and rechange it so that it has a complete dual door bomb bay system, all servo operated. It has a total of 10 servos and weighs approximately 12 pounds. The engine nacelles are hand carved, and we built plugs and molds for them, and cast fiberglass parts. As you can see, 4 are required. They're slightly different in size. The tail construction is foam core wire cut to NACA airfoils and balsa sheeted, and you can see back here that it's got the scale rudder and scale rudder hinge pivots, which I think add to the realism of the plane. Gun turrets on top. We did not add the gun turrets on the bottom, obviously, because we have to land on it as a PSS sloper. The plane itself flies phenomenal. It is a fantastic flying aircraft. Flies very smooth, almost like a trainer. The flaps are extremely effective, and they're split flaps, and there's an incredible amount of detail in the flap section if you take a look at it. And they work and function down to about 55-60 degrees. They're very effective at full flap and really keep the B-29 flying well and slow down for landings. Dad, you got anything other?
Well, we made the box to change out presented some construction problems that we had to resolve, and I think that you cannot build the dihedral into the box because of the change out. So what we had to do was build the dihedral into the wing panels, which allows the main functional T6061 T6 aluminum rod that goes through there, and it's about 30 inches long and about how long? 5/8 inch diameter, and that slides straight through, so the dihedral is built into the wings rather than into the bar itself. Other than that,
yeah, it's really interesting. On the bar itself has to go through the bomb bay box, and it also has to go through the X1 drop box. So you have a lot of engineering design so that everything can be removed. The rod comes out, all the cabling comes out,
yep,
and gets reassembled, and that was quite a challenge for us as well.
But from the performance standpoint, and then you called me up one night and said, Dad, you got to build the X1, and so we built that out of EPP foam, and it's a swift little machine. But the first drop, we took our best shot at it, and if you had sat down, I think, and diagrammed how you wanted it to perform, you couldn't have asked for more. Carl did a great job of flying the 29 up to altitude, dropped the flaps out. It slowed down noticeably, and when the release mechanism hit, I had the X1, and it came out absolutely just flat.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was
dropped
absolutely
right off of there and
perfect. At Utah, we had dropped ordnance because we didn't have time to do the X1, but at the PSS festival, we had let it go.
And there were great cheers from the crowd. Let me tell you, it was pretty exciting to see the two uncouple, and we actually got quite a few formation flying in with the X1 and the B-29.
I think the biggest thing that this has done is probably demonstrated to the PSS type crowd, if you will, that you're not limited by size of aircraft.
Absolutely.
People find it phenomenal that something this large can fly without engines, but it does, as Carl mentioned, perform just extraordinarily well. You just cannot believe that it's not having engine power, but it has now raised the standard in terms of some of the things that we're seeing showing up on the slope.
Yeah, we really engineered it with the Epler airfoil and the flap system to really handle the lift conditions, as the wing is exact scale and not stretched in any manner or shape or form. So, you know, that's another thing that we wanted to demonstrate, was the fact is you could build a scale aircraft and actually have it perform awesome. And the X1 is enlarged because the real X1 had little tiny wings and they would be very short, so we had to accommodate that. But that was just so we could get the X1 to actually fly.
Other than that, it's been a great project.
Awesome.
The Thursday before the Cajon Pass event, PSS pros from around the Southern California area gather at Point Fermin to test their latest designs and to spend the afternoon flying half-pipes. Located on famous Highway 1 west of Los Angeles, Point Fermin is a soaring oasis surrounded by 10 million people and one of the world's busiest seaports. This 150-foot tall coastal cliff picks up the very consistent afternoon sea breeze and is known for its high compression and glass-smooth lift. Guys have been flying this unique spot since the 1970s, and the strong and tight compression band lends itself to high wing-loading PSS-type gliders, which have evolved here over the years into today's high-speed designs. With the sheer cliff and ocean water below, flying at Fermin is not for beginners. A busy Highway 1 and a public park right behind the takeoff point make this site even more challenging. The landing area is across the highway directly in a large rotor, so landing high wing-loading slopers with no flaps is for the experienced pilot only. This beautiful place is flyable year-round, and if you're in the area, you should definitely check out the afternoon action at Point Fermin. The half-pipe or pump is the quintessential PSS maneuver. Pilots gain altitude, then dive low across the edge of the cliff building speed and energy, then pull up sharply to a near vertical climb. As the plane's energy slowly bleeds off, the glider is then banked gently upwind into a wingover, then dives back down into the strongest part of the compression band at cliff's edge. Once maximum speed has been reached, the plane pulls vertical again and the maneuver repeats. A skillful pilot can use the wing gradient to advantage to gain energy and altitude with each pull-up. In strong conditions, it's not uncommon to gain 300 feet or more in altitude with each pull-up once the plane and pilot gets in rhythm. Get 3 or 4 other planes doing pumps in sync and you have a real air show, with the planes occasionally glancing off each other at high speed. The lift was a little on the light side as compared to a typical summer afternoon, and only planes on the lower end of the wing loading scale were able to fly well. The local PSS Masters sure made flying at this infamous spot look fun and easy. On Sunday, it blew over 20 knots all day, rewarding all of the remaining hardcore PSS pilots with great lift.
истечет одиночество срок. Ну когда же это случится? Когда в одиночестве проходят недели, месяца, мое сердце трепещет, оно ждет.
Hi, my name is Tim Naya. I've been a long-standing member of the Inland Slope Rebels, the local PSS club here in Southern California. And this is a model that I worked on and developed over time. It's a completely scratch-built from the ground up MiG-3, Mikhail Yurovich MiG-3. It's a Russian World War II airplane. It's got a roughly 58-inch span and 38, 40-inch long fuse. It's actually perfect scale, the fuse. The wing has been stretched a little bit for performance on a glider. This little saying along here was something that came along in World War II that for Russian planes. It says, "For Stalin," in their Russian Cyrillic language. So that's all part of the scale effects on the plane. And you kind of go through a process of, Julie, of going through glider books and deciding what you like to build. This is a reference material. The MiG-3 is actually built along this scale right here. You can see this is where the wing has been stretched, but the fuse is perfect scale. So, and Julie's my girlfriend. She's been putting up with this hobby ever since she's known me and gone through the agony and ecstasy of building, slope planes, because it does take a little time. And you can see by the cover, there's a variety of airplanes you can decide to build and copy. And I just like the lines of this. It has a very smooth bullet shape. It's an extremely fast airplane. Very thin, fast airfoil. The plane itself, this particular model, I built for Point Fermin, which is a very high lift site down in San Pedro. And it'll have a wing loading of about 50 ounces when it actually goes off there. Today it's down around 38 to 40. So hopefully we'll get some wind and I can fly it. Just cycle down a little bit.
Tim needed more wind to keep his heavy MiG aloft, but he was kind enough to share some footage of his plane flying in big air at Point Fermin.
She's built solid.
Hi, my name's Carl Moss. This is the Slopestream. It's a high-speed, high-performance PSS glider that I designed in 2004, and it's my own design. Came out of my head. It was just some project that I decided to come up with as a unique alternative to the standard PSS style slopers,
and I thought it came out pretty well. It's very sleek, very high-speed design, has a very thin wing, and it's modified from an RG14, thinned down quite a bit. And you can see that the profile is very unique. It's got thin with the curved tips. Kind of wanted it to be kind of a snaky looking design that looked as good sitting still as it does flying. I'm very proud of it. It came out pretty much the way I envisioned, and just made a few design changes from the original. And that was when I was carving the plug. I originally had a turtle deck that came all the way back, and decided that it looked so good that I incorporated it right into the side of the fuselage. In addition, I originally had planned for an air scoop built into the plug on the side, and then opted so that I could add it later if I wanted to. But it's got a unique fuselage shape. You can see that the profile is straight all the way down, goes back down through the fuselage, all as a single line, and it all incorporates that into the strakes. That was some of the unique pieces that I incorporated. I also wanted to make sure that it had the large fillets and then blended very well with the wing. It's part of the overall look that I thought it would really make a difference. Plane itself weighs 55 ounces, and that's dry without any ballast. It's a 2-channel system where you've got ailerons for our roll and elevator for our pitch. Inside you can see that this is the hatch, and it's got the servos mounted and the receiver and the battery, and you can also see the position for the ballast weighting. Robert Cavazos at CSD did the layup for me on the fuselage after I did the first prototype, and this particular fuselage has 3 layers of 10-ounce glass cloth, or 30 ounces of glass in the fuselage. So it's pretty beefy. You're not going to be able to squeeze this guy. It has 1.25 inches of basswood all the way out the leading edge, basswood tips, fully basswood tail and stab, and it's pretty rock solid. It flies extremely fast, and it's a very pleasing performer. Hi, my name's Carl Moss. This is the Fischler FI-103, known as the Buzz Bomb. In this particular variant, at the cockpit. They engineered this plane as a suicide bomb, which made it kind of unique. They built 175 of these airplanes, but actually never used them in real combat. Maybe they're using pilots for other things instead of suicide missions. This particular model is 44-inch span, about 46 inches long. It's fiberglass fuselage, foam core wing, balsa sheeted. The engine pod is fiberglass molded, and so is the fuselage. And it came from a semi-kit that Brian Laird obtained. And so I took the kit and highly modified it to make what you see here. The plane weighs 67 ounces, 2-channel, which you have aileron control and you have elevator control back here. The rudder is for static display only and just for scale effect. You can see that it has the cockpit inside and a lot of the detail work. One of the interesting things is that the whole front end of the aircraft comes off based on this coupling ring and these keepers that they unscrewed, and this whole front end was a warhead, and this was the detonator that was out front. So obviously it was meant to fly into the target and explode on impact. So again, following in the tradition of the V1 buzz bombs. The original V1 buzz bombs did not have the cockpit, but they had a little center pod back here and had a little tiny impeller up front, which as the plane entered into the distance that was pre-programmed, it was basically a distance device that allowed it to go to the programmed distance and then dive down onto the target. The biggest fear that they had was not when they heard them, but when the engine quit running and then the buzz bomb started to dive on the target. They launched approximately about 8,000 of the original unpiloted buzz bombs. This particular version is piloted by Hanno Reich, who is the German test pilot in World War II, who is also famous for the Me-163 flights. This particular airplane has been flown about 5 times in its current configuration, and it flies very well. It's quite a unique airplane, and that was one of the reasons that I chose to model it. The actual paint job is the German light blue over the whole entire aircraft, and then I've got, actually it's a 2-tone paint job of mottled grays and then green sprayed over the top of it with an acrylic clear coat. I was very, very pleased with the result on the camouflage. I actually got quite a bit more excited when I got the paint job completed than when I started and it was all primer. You can see this is where the fuel cell was that resided up in here for the pulse jet, which is back here. You can see the intake on the pulse jet, and the pulse jet itself basically just opened, let air in, closed, and then ignited, and therefore made a clapping sound, and that's what you would hear is the term called buzz bomb. You'd hear a bzz, 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 bzz as it was pulsing, open and closed and firing. The model has quite a few details on it. You can little panels, it's got all the weld lines and the seams around the engine, and you can see that it came out quite well. The markings are German and based on the buzz bomb that's out at Chino Airport and Chino Air Museum.
This is a slope model of the Messerschmitt MEP 1101. That was a late model jet aircraft that the Germans were developing in World War II. They never got one flying, but the Americans captured the prototype and brought it back to the United States. Bell Aircraft used that prototype to develop the X5, which was the first aircraft with variable geometry wings. They weren't able to sweep in flight, they actually moved them on the ground. But had the Germans got theirs up and running, I think it probably would have looked something like this with this late war 2-tone green paint scheme. This model right here is actually a modified electric kit put out by Steve Neal. I changed the fuselage to make it slightly more scale. I redid the nose. There's a full cockpit in there. The wings are a vacuum bagged RG-14 core with 3 degrees of washout in the tips. And in that configuration, it actually flies very, very well. I was actually surprised that this big hole here in the front didn't affect it, because that goes about 10 inches straight back to where I have a fake engine mounted. There's also a fake tail cone in the back. The panel lines, I don't know if you can see them or not, but those are actually scribed into the primer. I took a little needle file and scribed the panel lines right into the primer before I put the color coat on it. And the paint is Tamiya, a new Tamiya spray paint that came out. Really goes on nice, has a nice matte finish. Overall weight of the airplane is 48 ounces, so right at about 3 pounds. The wing loading, I believe, comes out to about 21 ounces per square foot. So it's a little on the heavy side, but not too bad. We were flying it today in about 20-mile-an-hour winds, which were nice. It's 2-channel, ailerons, and elevator only. Don't really need any more than that. Just use a standard high-tech gear. And overall, I'm very happy with it. It surprised me. It flew better than I thought it was going to with these swept wings. I was expecting tip stalls and all kinds of other nasty behavior, but it's very stable and solid as a rock. And that's pretty much the story of the MEP 1101. This one here, I'm sure most of you will be familiar with. This is a Messerschmitt ME 262. This kit was scratch built by me. I made the molds for the fuselage and the nacelles. The fuselage is fiberglass, as are the nacelles. The wing, again, is my trusty RG-14 airfoil. This one only has 1.5 degrees of washout in it. There's a little bit of sweep there, but not too much. The washout really helps with the tip stalls when you're in high bank turns. This is a little on the heavy side. This one weighs about, I believe it's around 70 ounces. So it needs a pretty fair amount of wind to fly. We did fly it today in 25-mile-an-hour winds, and it went really, really good. The nacelles actually don't create nearly as much drag as you would think. I was really surprised. The first time I flew it in good winds, it got up and moved. It scooted right along. The gear on this one, again, standard HS 425 high-tech servos, just a 2-channel aileron and elevator. It would be nice to have flaps on this because it is so heavy that when it comes in, it's really moving. If I do another one, I'll probably put some flaps on it. This one is finished in Model Master paints, and the panel lines on this are actually scribed through the color coat into a silver base coat underneath. And then some of the weathering is where I've chipped the color coat off. This one's a little thrashed. It's got some hanger rash on it. It used to look a lot nicer, but still looks pretty good, still flies pretty good. And hopefully it'll last me a good long time.
Any guys who design and build their own planes and go out to the slope and rip apart the sky can truly be called PSS Masters.